Whether you have or haven't heard of a Commonplace book, be sure it might become a perfect tool in your journey of learning languages. Today, I'll tell you more about it, show you my Commonplace book and how I connected to learning languages, and of course, will give you several great ideas for your own book. Doesn't really matter what foreign language or languages you're trying to master. The ideas I have prepared for you today are sort of universal. First of all, let's try to find an easy explanation to what a Commonplace book is, shall we? Well, basically, it's just a notebook where you would like to keep something to which you'd like to come back later. Might be anything. Different quotes from films and books you love, some extracts from magazines, song lyrics, poems you love, very often designed with magazine clippings and all different kinds of pictures. Something that you would love to reread, some information that seems to you worth keeping somewhere. That is all what a Commonplace book is about. What is particularly interesting about commonplacing is that the concept itself of Commonplace books is believed to go back to the Middle Ages, even though it gained much more popularity during the Renaissance and later early modern period. People collected recipes, medicine-related stuff, different quotes, and the like. The history itself of Commonplace books is fascinating, but what we are going to see now is how we can acquire a Commonplace book into learning languages. Well, actually, it's pretty simple. Logically, you just put all those quotes, texts, extracts from magazines into your book in your target language. However, as it happens very often, it's easy in theory, but difficult in practice. That's why we are going to this practice part together today. Prepare a notebook to create along with me, or just have some tea while getting ideas on how to create a Commonplace book, being a language learner. So here is my Commonplace book. I haven't completed it all yet, there are still plenty of pages left. When I finish it all up, we'll probably make a special video on it, so you see all the book spreads. That's why subscribe now, so you don't miss it. Usually when you open a Commonplace book, you'll see that a lot of people tend to make an index page. Some do it at the back of a book too. This page alphabetically, or else in another order, lists all the topics that are in the book. Of course, it's not some kind of a strict rule we have to follow, but if you think there are some major topics you never want to forget that you have inside here, I guess it's a good idea to make such a page. I personally will do it when my book is completed. Majorly, the languages I write in here are English, not my native language, a lot of French, some Spanish. I'm learning Hindi as well, but since now I'm not at that level when I can freely write in it, there's a page where I've added some words. We'll show you closely in a minute. Okay, so the first page I've designed is this beautiful French poem. I started this book when it was Christmas time, so this and even the next page is on this topic. Since it's not only about writing and copying poems or something else into this kind of a book, but it's also about practicing target languages, right? I left a bit space here on the side of the page to add some specific words from this poem that I'd love to remember, but later I decided to turn it into a place where I wrote explanations of some names and places mentioned in the poem. And on the following pages I made this spread, again Christmas theme. These are some article extracts. As far as I remember from the magazine Simple Things, I might be mistaken though. And here I already created this little, what shall I call it, vocabulary note, vocabulary list maybe. Another thing I like to draw your attention to is that, as you will see, my own Commonplace book is full of English notes, and even though I'm able to speak to some extent freely in English, write and read in it, I'll always be its learner, which is something natural and fine, and such articles from magazines help me a lot to find new words and phrases even now. I recommend you to do something similar if you've been learning a language, have reached a good level, but still would like to keep learning and expanding your knowledge. These are some parts from an article from the same magazine, by the way. The Simple Things is one of my favorite magazines. I wish there was the same, or at least something similar, in French or Spanish. Well, if you know any, please let me know in the comments. The next pages I'll show you quickly, I think. There's something interesting I found in one French magazine and added some useful, for me, vocabulary on these craft pages. Magazines are, of course, not the only source you can use. Any website with an interesting article is great. Look what I did here. While reading about French folklore, there were some parts that caught my eye, and I decided to add it here too. And just so you remember, a Commonplace book is a notebook that you keep as a place where you meditate, relax, a place that let your inner creator come out, so to speak. You write here, you draw here, you can let your thoughts out here too. If you do it in the language you're learning, it's just amazing, isn't it? Of course, if you're not into designing pages like me, adding different kinds of pictures, sketching here sometimes, or even painting when I'm in the mood, it's fine. It's just that I really love doing it. It's another way to relax for me. To be honest, I've actually been doing this, keeping such Commonplace books since my childhood. I just didn't know it had a special name, a Commonplace book. So now when I realized that I can connect this to learning languages, I thought I just had to share it with you, and maybe you'll try this wonderful thing too. Now that you have seen all the spreads I've created so far in here, I'll show you from the beginning, so to speak, how I do it. Hope you enjoy this process with me and maybe get some ideas that you will use in your own book. We'll make one spread together. I'd love to dedicate these 2 pages to something I found in this French magazine, the one that I discovered just some weeks ago, and I really love it. Of course, you'll be adding those topics to your own Commonplace book that interest personally you. Again, it might be just some quotes from novels or films. I, for example, really fancy magazines on psychology or literature. They are, as it seems to me, a perfect source for ideas that I enjoy reading while finding something useful and beautiful that I want to keep, reread, and remember. A Commonplace book, as you might have already guessed, can become your special notebook that can even reduce anxiety. You spend this moment, let's say, face to face to your journal, copying beautiful poems that seem heartwarming to you, or writing about something that interests you, plus maybe sketching or reading magazine clippings, by the way. And all this comes along with practicing a foreign language. What can be better than that? Surely there are people who prefer everything digital now. Maybe you're one of them, and it's okay, I guess, if you enjoy it that way. Commonplacing in your digital notebook is more than possible nowadays. However, I am a paper person, just need to feel everything in my hands and have such creative moments. Now, before I show you the spread we have just created, let me remind you that in my shop you can find some gorgeous commonplace books and journals with unique designs that were made by me. And right now you'll find there a new collection with floral designs and some minimalistic designs, which can bring you some joy and be very handy when you decide to start your own commonplace book. Follow the link in the video description and treat yourself or your beloved one with one of these beauties that will serve you as a perfect place for your writings, sketches, and certainly your language practice. The pages you see now are anyways only a source of my own imagination. I repeat again, there are no rules. Follow your creative voice only and turn language learning into a relaxing pastime, well, at least sometimes. So how was it? Hope I could convince you that keeping such a commonplace book as a tool for writing and reading in your target language, and at the same time to have it as a place where you can meditate in some sense, reduce your anxiety and just relax, is a wonderful idea. And as I might have already mentioned, I'm planning on making a separate video on this commonplace book, which I'm working on right now when I totally finish it, so you encounter even more ideas for your own book. If that sounds interesting to you, please let me know in the comments. And for the last part, don't forget to visit my shop, because there's a really gorgeous collection of handmade commonplace books that I have created, one of which might become yours. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here. Till the next one.